Woo, and we're back on the Morgan Streetman Show, and we were just catching up off air. Pat, you knew this. I went to the Bahamas this weekend. I was just telling Morgan, we took a little trip there, the what do you call it, baby moon before the baby comes. But because we had our daughter with us, it didn't really feel like one. It felt like more of Doug's golf trip and my nannying trip. Shh, didn't say that. Hopefully he's not listening right now.
Hopefully he's working hard right now.
Yeah. No, we had a good time, though. But it was interesting because you go through customs. And this particularly stood out in my mind because my daughter, you know, that you have all those ropes that keep people in the security lines. And we follow those as adults because we're adults and that's the process. And she is not intimidated by these ropes because she's shorter than them. And she busted right through and ran all the way through to the customs desk and got to chase her down. In any case, embarrassing story there. But I just was thinking while I'm going through customs, this is a process.
Yeah.
We're American citizens. We go take a trip to the Bahamas. We have great relations with the Bahamians. Or we come back to the United States. You have to do all of this. You have to have your passports. You have to. It doesn't just happen because you want it to happen and you snap your fingers. And so when we talk about open borders, and we were just referring to it with Brexit, and now we have this issue obviously ongoing within our own country. Why is a process not honored?
Why would anybody expect open borders?
Right.
I mean, we don't go to other countries and expect open borders.
Right. Certainly not.
I mean, only John McAfee would do that, right? You know, go into another country without going through customs. I mean, we all have to follow the rules and pass through customs. And, you know, something that's personally kind of was offensive to me, you know, several years ago when I desperately wanted to move to Costa Rica, and I still want to move to Costa Rica. But when I desperately wanted to move there several years ago and open up like a hotel down there, you know, I looked into that. And the truth is, if you're not a citizen of Costa Rica, which takes you about 6 or 7 years if you just move there and go through the process, then you cannot work down there. And they will report you. The Costa Rican people don't like it when foreigners come there and work because you're, in their mind, you're taking a job away from a Costa Rican. Okay, they will report you, and the police will come, and they will arrest you, and they will deport you.
I bet.
And how come that happens in Costa Rica when we as Americans want to go there? Or let's say we wanted to move for some god-awful reason to Mexico, and there are nice parts of Mexico. I shouldn't be so hard on Mexico. But, you know, you've seen some of what's happened in Mexico lately, and it just, again, demonstrates the fact that Mexico is a failed state, you know, where they captured El Chapo's son. And then they had to let him go because the cartel gunmen started shooting up the town and took a whole bunch of military and police officers hostage and were going to just kill them all and kill their families. So they basically overpowered the Mexican military there. And there's probably a lot of reasons that happened, but not to get off too much on that tangent. But the point is, if you wanted to move to Mexico or Guatemala or Belize or Costa Rica or whatever, they're not just going to let you move down there and start working down there without going through their process. So how come it is when those people or any people want to come to the United States, they have an expectation that there should be no process, that they should just be allowed to come in and waltz right in? I don't understand it. You know, some interesting stories, and this kind of ties in with several things because I saw an interesting story in the Washington Post, and I think it's really a pretty suspect story, but they were doing a story on the fact that, and there's one interesting point here, and that is the wall is being built right now. The wall is actually being built because the Washington Post, much though they hate that, did a story about sections of the new wall. And, of course, the whole story was about how you can, with $100 of power tools, you can just cut through the sections of the new wall. And, by the way, that's a little bit disturbing in one way. But, you know, I saw a friend of mine, and in fact, one of the listeners on this show had posted some things on Facebook about that. And he said he bets that the Washington Post not only gave him the power tools, but told him exactly where to go to. And it is a little suspect that the Washington Post would have had all those great pictures of the wall being cut through. I mean, how did they know where it was to get there in time? I mean, this had to have just happened, right? Because the wall just started getting built. But they claim that with a little reciprocating saw that you could pick up at, you know, Harbor Freight for $50 or something, and some special blades that you can actually cut through these, what do they call them, bollards or whatever that they got. And that's what the wall's made out of, these steel bollards that attach kind of down at the base to concrete and up at the top to a big steel plate. Now, if you remember, of course, originally President Trump wanted to build a solid concrete wall. And now that we see that they're cutting through maybe fairly easily through these bollards, maybe there was some sense to building a solid wall. Now, at Customs and Border Patrol's request, President Trump switched to the wall that has space between the bollards so that they could see through it. And frankly, that does make some sense because you wouldn't want to be walking on one side of that wall and not know on the other side there were guys who could be throwing rocks at you or maybe launching mortars or something else, and you couldn't even see them that they were preparing to do that. So I get the idea of wanting to be able to see through the wall and that being of some benefit. But, I just thought it was very interesting that the Washington Post is right there on scene. They know all about this cutting through the wall. They know what tools are used. They know exactly where this is going on. And they got the photographs. And this is all to try to tell you, the American people, that see, we told you so. See, we told you walls don't work. You people are stupid. You thought you could build a wall and keep people out? And that's kind of the game they want to play with it. And, I think that's a little bit sad. But fundamentally, we can just go back to the fact that why do people believe that they ought to be able to just come into our country without going through a process, without applying? Why do they think that's right? And maybe they don't think it's right. Maybe they just think, look, I don't care if it's right or wrong. It's just a reality. I need to get out of my own country or want to get out of my own country for one reason or another. I heard that you guys up there have a bunch of money and you're giving away a bunch of free stuff. And dadgummit, I'm coming to get some. Right, I'm coming to get some free stuff.
ID is not very important. Come on in and vote, too. You don't need ID.
Right. Why would you need an ID to vote?
Try that. Try to go down to Costa Rica and not have any identification.
It's crazy. It's the crazy. We're living in an insane world where we're being told things by our own media, and obviously they're working against us. They're working against the American people, and they're working against common sense. And a whole bunch of us don't buy into it. A whole bunch of us don't believe it. But, there's a whole group that does.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.